Hey everyone, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go under the hood of this HO scale Atlas U23B. This locomotive that a friend of mine asked me to put a decoder in. I've never been inside one of these before. So the first thing I'm going to do is open it up, take a look and see what we can do with it. Now at this point I'm not even sure, it doesn't say anywhere on the box that it's DCC ready or anything, so this could be an older model. So what we're going to end up doing is taking it out of the box, taking the hood off and seeing what's under there so we can determine what we're going to need to do. So in this case we got a nice looking Milwaukee Road here. Looks like it has no number. He should be able to put whatever number he wants on it when he's done. But like I said, I don't own any Atlas. I've never been under the hood of this Atlas. I have done quite a few decoder installs, but not on this type. So I'm going to let you learn right along with me as we take a look at this and see what's inside of it. First thing I'm going to do is just going to pull out the little bubble wrap thing to set it on, just to help protect it a little bit. So when I look at this, first thing I see is it has the typical screw in the coupler pocket, so I'm assuming we're going to have to take those off. Well, that's not going to work. Let's try this one. It's always a good idea to put something soft down on the bench just to help protect the details when you're working on these things. So I'll try and get the camera angle a little better here for you. First thing you do is take that screw, unscrew that screw to a point where it wants to come out. And I usually just take my little needle nose pliers, pull out the screw. And then you can very carefully slide the coupler pocket out. So this works just like many of the other brands. It's kind of become the standard in the industry right now, is just unscrew the coupler, slide the pocket out, and a lot of times that's all it takes to get the body shell off. Okay, and there's your other coupler pocket. So now we give it the test and see if it, I usually just start to pull gently on it and see if it wants to come out. In this case it doesn't. So then I start looking around the bottom real carefully to see if there's any other screws that may be holding that body to the chassis, and I don't see any. Next thing to do would then kind of look at the fuel tank. Sometimes the fuel tank will pop off if you're careful with it, and there'll be screws underneath that. Well, that's not going to happen without pulling. I never like to pull too hard. I don't want to break anything. So now I'm going to have to do what nobody likes to do, and that's find the instructions and read them. I'll just look under. Oh, there we go. There's all kinds of detail parts under here in the box, and there's your instructions hiding under the foam. In fact, this will tell us right away too whether it's DCC ready or not. It'll typically say on here. I'll turn this upside down for your benefit. So here's the instructions. I'm going to have to turn them back this way just so I can read them. There is a PC board in there for lighting. It doesn't look like it has any 8 or 9 pin adapters on it, so, and nowhere on here does it say anything about being DCC ready. So this is obviously an older model, which means in order to put a decoder in it, we're going to have to take a few extra steps. But I still want to get the hood off to see what kind of decoder would fit in there before we order any decoders. At this point, I'm just going to stop the camera for a minute, read the instructions. Oh, here we go. Okay, if you look real careful, right up on there, Hopefully this focuses, but it shows 4 screws going up through the bottom after you remove the fuel tank. So I guess we are going to have to remove the fuel tank, and hopefully we can do that without breaking it. And then there's, oh no, those are screw motors. Those are motor screw saddles. So those are actually what hold the motor on. So that shouldn't affect how the body comes off. So I'm just going to goof around with this a little bit with the camera off, and then I'll turn it back on when I figure out how it comes off. Okay, I'm back. It really only took about 30 seconds after I turned the camera off. I just started gently squeezing and pulling along the shell, and it turned out there were 2 little clips back here and some up in the cab, and it, instead of the whole body coming off like things I'm used to working on, this one, just the hood itself and the cab came off. And as you can see, there's clips here, here, and here. So just squeezing it together a little, the tabs, and it gets that off of the tab that's holding it on. And then your walkway, it looks like it's going to comes off as a separate unit. So a lot of times those are all one piece, so that kind of fooled me a little bit. So here's what we end up with. Now, just looking at this real quickly, it actually does look like there's an 8-pin, or similar to an 8-pin clip in here. So let me just slowly pull that apart. So that, if you can see that right here, I pulled off this little dummy plug. So it almost looks like it could be DCC ready. But when it comes time to put in a decoder, I'm not going to take the chance. I'm going to still pull it apart and make sure the motor is isolated from the frame. That's very important. I always do that, even when they say it's DCC ready, just to play it safe, because you will fry your decoders in no time if the motor is contacting the frame. So other than that, this, to me, the construction looks like what I see in the Proto 2000s that I own. You've got counterweight, motor, a light board, another counterweight, a couple light bulbs up in here. So nothing special. I've seen this many times before in other brands, so I guess it's not too different. It's a nice looking motor though. It's a closed frame, almost like a can motor. So what I'm going to do is, if you can tell by the looks of this, that this is one of those typical Atlas style decoder boards. And you got your wires from your lights coming right here to the light, right here to the light. They're not crossing all over. And if you look real carefully up under here, you've got your motor leads going down from these tabs underneath. So I guess it's pretty much, for me, a no-brainer. I'll just go out and buy a typical what they call an Atlas or Athearn style board. Should drop right in, hook right up, and be ready to go. I'm not even going to mess with, you know, you could possibly, and I don't know if this is just for lighting or if it's actually a DCC plug, because the instructions make no mention of it, but if it was a DCC plug, you could buy a little 8-pin decoder and plug it right in place of that. So I guess the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and order those decoders. I'm actually going to order 2 because I got 2 of them like this from him. I'm only opening this one up for you today, but we'll go ahead and order 2 of those, and when they come in, I'll do another video on how I install them. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.